Okay, what is going on, everybody? RogersBase here, and welcome to my live reaction and review for One Piece manga chapter 1068. It has been an absolutely wild week. I've been so busy doing stuff. I'm worn out. I almost forgot that there was a One Piece chapter this morning. That's how tired I am, but I'm very excited to read this one. It's called A Genius's Dream. I'm looking at the front page right now. It says German Double Six's An Emotionless Excursion, Volume 25, Mads, the group to which they once belonged. So obviously you could see Judge and Caesar, but above their heads, you've got this little thought bubble, and clearly that's Vegapunk. So I remember way back in the day, we got that first teaser of Vegapunk with him looking down. Looks like a very similar shot there, only difference is now you can see his massive lickitung tongue, along with some other like silhouettes that are over there with some glowing eyes. I am wondering if these two characters that are in silhouette will come up at any point during the current story arc. I'm not sure, but it's cool to see Caesar and Judge. I feel like these two are paired nicely together. I like this a lot. All right, well, let's get into this. 1068. So Cipher Pol is already here. You got Pythagoras saying, Cipher Pol, thank you for returning our Seraphim. Unit S-Bear is capable of returning on its own from there. I'm assuming S-Bear is Kuma. Forgive the curt treatment, but we are too busy at the moment. Give S-Bear the order to return and consider your mission complete. Your escort was very much appreciated. And you've got the sea beast there in the water, Egghead Island in the background, and then Cipher Pol on the ship. Lucci is just stone-faced. Like, what are you talking about? What kind of cold shoulder is that? Also, Kaku's mask is kind of interesting. I didn't notice that one before. And obviously you see the Kuma behind him. Has he figured it out? Of course he has. He's the smartest man alive. What are you thinking? We just finished a long voyage. The least you could do is let us relax on dry land with a cup of tea. Come on, it's cold out here. Naval Base G14 is nearby and can welcome you. Is that Dr. Vegapunk? Correct. If I asked you about the Egghead disappearances, would you know what I mean? No. Who's disappearing? 2 months ago, a Cipher Pol number 5 ship went missing. 1 month ago, it was CP7, and 2 weeks ago, it was CP8. It's just cool to see Lucci back in the story actually talking again. All the government ships that have visited Egghead in the past 2 months have failed to return from the trip. Why is that? Let me actually zoom in on the page real quick here, because I'm seeing some stuff. You've got, that's Frankie's group, obviously, in the bottom, right? Is that true? According to our recollection, all of those ships left port from here. Also, really cool shot of the globe there with all the different islands and the log paths on it. Very neat little touch. Yo, what are you insinuating, huh? You think we've been messing with Cipher Pol? Go to hell! Lilith screaming over at him. Lilith, I know you're the evil one, but you shouldn't antagonize them. Look, I'll open the port up so you could just come see for yourself. No, not that either! At any rate, please, we must ask you to leave. I see. Your message has been received. And they're clicking down the phone. You have Hattori cooing. Okay. What now, Lucci? Prepare to leave the ship behind. We're going to use Seraphim S-Bear's power to fly onto the island. The moment we show any aggression, the sea beast weapons will devour this ship. They're all going, yes, sir! All right, onto the Grand Line, back to Kuma. Good. More of the stuff with the revolutionaries. Excellent, excellent. Get back here, you. Kuma. Kuma, I said stop. Where are you going? You got his hand going back. Boop! What did I say? Yo, exactly what I said last chapter. The man reached back and went and teleported himself right out of there. You could see all the different little steampunk machine parts of him falling off. And then Dragon screaming, Kuma! Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Scrap Heap Egghead. You want us to take you out of here, but why? Isn't this your lab? So now we're back with Luffy and Jinbei and Vegapunk's group, okay? And Vegapunk's saying that's correct. I've been extracting every bit of research money I can from the government to carry out whatever experiments I fancy. Even now, as we speak, my mind is overflowing with ideas. And even still, I don't have the time, the manpower, or the funds to see them all to fruition. One day, I hope to create my ideal world through science, a world in which energy is abundant, available, and free to everyone around the globe. So he doesn't just want knowledge to be spread across the world. He wants free energy for everybody too. Okay. Luffy's like, all right. Vegapunk saying, okay, I guess that didn't land for you, did it? So you're just going to give everyone something, all right? And Jinbei's responding, the resources that we use to create energy are a constant source of war and squabbling between nations. Precisely how foolish mankind is. Just reach out and feel. Energy is right here and there. It's around all of us. The force is with us. The world is positively brimming with it. Look at this. Vegapunk's looking up in the sky. You got the sun shining down. I can hear in the background. Da-na-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na-na-na. I could just hear it as he's giving this speech. And you see the clouds parting and he's reaching out. If we can simply convert it into a kind of power that you can see and use, we would be eliminating one of the greatest causes of war in the world. Mark my words, science will one day reach that lofty realm. You've got Bonnie still knocked out in the ground, Chopper and Jinbei looking up, and Luffy looking up at Vegapunk. That's actually a really beautiful shot there. I really, really like that panel. Luffy still has no interest. Just, okay, picking his nose. Well, I mean, it's really good that you're trying to make everyone happy, but I'm not interested in heroes, though. So why do you want to leave this place, Vegapunk? Well, that's the issue. The harder I strive to find the energy I've been seeking, the closer I get to the power source that moved this machine soldier. The ancient energy that gave it strength. It is in a scientist's nature to want to peek at the answers. And if I were to undo the veil wrapped around that forbidden history, what might I find underneath? In carrying on my friend's will, I find myself treading further into the depths of, all right, we're getting an explosion. Interesting choice of words there, saying, if I carry on my friend's will. Okay. And Jinbei's looking back, we got an explosion. Oh, they're already here. That was fast. Okay. I looked over to the other page, we got Cipher Pol already here. As you can see, I dug a bit into the past too. And now the government's going to get rid of me, just like they got rid of O'Hara. Huh? It sounds like that commotion's being caused by CP0. Zero? CP0 are the ones who act solely on the Celestial Dragon's orders. But why are they CP0? Don't you mean CP9? No. They're above CP9. Whenever they're active, it's said the world-shaking events are about to occur. Also, is Luffy not aware of CP0 after everything? After Wano and after Dressrosa? Did he just not know they were there? The last time he heard Cipher Pol was CP9? Or is it because he already saw Lucci and he thought Lucci was part of CP9? I don't know. Kaku seems to be enjoying himself, though. Kaku's like, get a gander at this future metropolis. What a lark. He's having a good time. So that's Cipher Pol, huh? I thought they always wore black suits. And why didn't they come through the port like usual? Did you hear? Oh, no. So they're obviously not there yet. This is all just merging over. You've got Luffy talking about Cipher Pol, finding out things as CP0 is walking into the port. Okay. Interesting. Thank you, by the way, to Robert for becoming a member for 32 months. Greatly appreciate that. So let me see. Where did I leave off? Did you hear? They're saying 2 sea beast weapons were destroyed near the shore, so obviously that was Cipher Pol's doing. Does that mean that these guys are intruders? Shaka, CP0's on the island. How did they get past the port? They're here already. And you've got Nami and Sanji and Robin all there. I hate him. Go away, Rob Lucci. Go away. The beasts are devouring their ship by the coast. It would seem that they refused our suggestion. I suspect that they used the pawpaw fruit's powers to reach the island. So they used Esper. Oh, so, okay. So that answers a question I've had, which is that if there's a Seraphim that's based on a character with a devil fruit, do they retain the original user's devil fruit power? It seems to be the answer there is yes, with him saying they use the pawpaw's fruit power to reach the island using Esper. Which means when we see Seraphim Dofi, things are going to be good. I am excited to see this. Okay, they used Esper. If they'd give up their chance for a chance to fight, well, they were clearly determined to get here one way or another. Evacuate the researchers and workers. Send Atlas back to the lab. Mobilize Seraphim's Snake, Hawk, and Shark. So Hawk is obviously Mihawk. Snake is obviously Boa. Shark is obviously Jinbei. Put Sentomaro in charge of them. All right, this is good too. I just had my conversation with Randy Troy last week on his channel. We were talking about how it's kind of weird that Sentomaro is Vegapunk's bodyguard, hasn't shown up in the story yet, is now here. They're mobilizing Sentomaro. Okay. If I pack up my belongings, may I re-Quasar a trip out to sea with you? You make it sound like we're going to go on a picnic, mister. Well, you know that your disappearance would be an international scandal. And Luffy's like, yeah, why not? Your head looks funny. Come on, let's go. That's your reasoning? All right, then let's go on up. This place will be a battlefield soon. And if you'd like to take Bonnie up to the Labo phase above the clouds. Sure thing. Okay. So they're going to take Bonnie up there. Good. I'm going to see you up there. And he's vanishing again without a trace. Mr. Apple? The future makes my head hurt. Now, okay, this is also interesting too, because the way they're drawing him vanishing looks very similar to how they drew Absalom and how they drew Shiyu. So I am wondering is he using Absalom's Devil Fruit power as well? Or is this just the beginning of one of his warps? Either way, this is kind of interesting. I think Oda did that on purpose to make us ask that question. I'm not really sure. Cool. All right, look out. There's a giant monster. And you got more of the creatures over there as Cipher Pol standing in the streets. But the bullets aren't doing anything to it. And Kaku's saying, I always wanted to fight one of these. It's not meant to be down on this sea. This is a space monster. Tempest Kick. And Stussy saying that won't work. It's just a hologram. Well, maybe you should have mentioned that first as he kicks through the hologram monster. Stussy, you seem to know a lot about this place. Oh. Thank you very much. Wart Galore for being a member for 6 months, and Gunman for being a member for 8 months, and King Kaiju for being a member for 12 months. Greatly appreciate it, you guys. All right. Since I'm already in the air, I might as well go above the clouds. If Vegapunk's anywhere, he's bound to be there. Okay. Do you see those two lines running across the cloud, Lucci? Also, interesting that he's saying if Vegapunk's anywhere, he's bound to be over there. Meanwhile, that's where they're taking Bonnie. I'm kind of concerned for Bonnie. Especially because I'm assuming Cipher Pol knows that she's Kuma's child. So things might get kind of dicey for her too, very, very soon. All right, let's keep going. If an enemy crosses these lines, it activates a laser beam. Okay, so obviously Vegapunk's got a whole bunch of different technology used to keep people out. They call this the Frontier Dome, a defensive system that surrounds the Labo phase. Cool, so it's like almost a better version of like the defense thing in Wakanda, how they have like that giant invisible shield thing that they had to open up in Infinity War. Only difference is like this is actually laser beams. So you walk right into it, boom, you get shot at. Okay. Kaku, wait. The point is, don't take the world's greatest scientists lightly. Again, Lucci's like, you could have warned him first. Stupid Kaku's running in head first. You've got a heart of ice in there, Stussy. Tee-hee. But you're feeling warmed up now, aren't you? Also, where is Khalifa? Khalifa was in Film Red. Why is Khalifa not chilling with them? Why is Stussy the replacement for Khalifa? I'm not complaining. I like Stussy more. But I just find it interesting that we're getting the Cipher Pol characters who were previously CP9 with CP0 in this story arc. And we're not getting Khalifa. It's Stussy instead. There must be a story reason for that. Again, I'm not mad about it. It's just interesting to note. Okay. So Atlas is running up saying, who said you were allowed to be more violent than me on Egghead? All right, there's Atlas, one of the Vegapunks. Chalk is saying, Atlas, stop. You can't handle them. Ultra mighty punch. And then Lucci's saying, this is not a game. Six King Pistol once again. Boom! Right into Atlas's face. Absolutely merciless. We even get that shot. I love what he does with the shadows and the explosions in this story arc. I think Oda's been doing a great job with that, where you get like the shaded out version of the face with all the like the burns and the things across their face too, the dirt flying up. Beautiful. Cracking Atlas's face. Meanwhile, Lucci standing there. Oh man. Oh, and you get the explosion and Atlas is falling down. Atlas. So we're jumping right into this then. Shaka's given an evacuation order. Everyone into the factory. We are now under attack. You're still alive. Hurry, hurry. We got to get up there into the vacuum rocket. And Chopper's running and Luffy's running. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Huh? Straw Hat? And Luffy looks over. Pigeon Guy. Boom. Doom. To be continued. One Piece 1068 end. We are schmovin' if we are already at the point where Lucci is seeing Luffy. And Vegapunk has already revealed his dream. I mean, they're here. And him talking about this ancient energy and stuff, I'm sure that has something to do with maybe like the voice of all things. Because remember, we had that moment where Luffy was screaming, and then we got the circles around the robot, and a lot of us were assuming at first, at least upon first glance, I was thinking that Luffy somehow activated it. But then we saw those little swirls were coming from the warp from Vegapunk. But now I'm not so sure. With him talking about how the energy is all around us and everywhere, I feel like the voice of all things has something to do with that. I feel like the voice of all things is kind of like the Force, essentially. It's this unseen energy that he's trying to harness to give to the rest of the world. I want to stew on this a little bit. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to be right back with my review section, but real quick, I want to give a shout out once again to my sponsors over at Zenpop. I'm going to play the sponsor message. We're going to be right back. I'm going to share my review. I'm going to read some viewer questions. We're going to have a good time. I will be right back, everybody. One sec. For the second chapter in a row, today's One Piece stream is once again sponsored by my friends over at Zenpop. Now, for those of you who don't already know what Zenpop is Zen Market's monthly subscription box where you can order goods from Japan and have them delivered directly to your door every single month. They've got anime packs, sweets packs, ramen packs. They've got stationery packs even. But today, we're going to be unboxing the new mix pack. This is actually their last mix pack of the year. If you want to order this, make sure to do it now. Use the coupon code RogersBase to get $6 off your order. Without any further ado, let's open up this box and see what's inside. Now, Zenpop's mix packs have always been my favorite just because you get a really good variety of savory snacks and sweet snacks, but there are some really cool things that I want to highlight this week. And if you want to see everything that's in this month's box, you can just check the little QR code that was on the back of this month's insert, and I'll put that up in the corner of the screen somewhere. And the first thing I want to point out is this really special cup of ramen that they included in this month's box that is a collaboration between two really popular ramen shops in Japan that have both previously won the Shoyu ramen competition, Toy Box and Shibata. The two shops essentially wanted to see what would happen if you combine both of their award-winning flavors into one cup of instant ramen, and apparently the results are very good. I'm super excited to try this, but I'm recording this at 9 a.m., so it's a little too early for ramen right now, but I will report back on Twitter. And the other cool cup of ramen they included in this month's box is from the Maruchan QTTA collection. This is apparently miso flavored meat. They call it Niku 200%, which I'm assuming means it's super flavorful. Again, cannot wait to try this one out. We got some nice little curry katsu snacks in here for the savory. We've got some chocolate cookies to represent the sweets. Splatoon 3 grape and lemon gummies, which again, unless you live in Japan, you're never gonna have a chance to try these. Look how cute these are. Woomy! There's also this really cool little Melty Kiss caramel butter chocolate box, which is only for this holiday season, so again, you're not going to get any other chance to try these. And they even included this cute little Luna New Year's magnet, as well as a new flavor of Kalbi potato chip. I actually need to open this bag right now, because apparently these are parsley and garlic flavored with some special type of butter. See, this is the problem. I shouldn't have opened this bag, because now I want to eat this whole thing, and again, it's 9 a.m. It's too early for this, but... Oh my god, these are good. I don't know what kind of butter they're using in these, but oh my gosh. This is like legit one of the best potato chip flavors I've ever eaten. And last but not least, they included this cool limited edition winter themed Kalpice drink that apparently you're supposed to drink hot. So let me go put this in my coffee mug and warm this baby up. All right, here we go. Let's see. It smells really good. Ooh. Ooh, yeah, I like this. I never would have thought of having this flavor warmed up, but I can totally see myself like grabbing some of these chocolate cookies, sitting by the fire and drinking this. Wow. Good call. I will say, I feel like this is one of the best and most quality mix boxes they've ever made. So if you've ever wanted to try Zen Pop, now is probably the time to do it, especially considering so much of the stuff they included this time around is limited edition. You could only get it right now this holiday season, otherwise it's gone forever. So again, use coupon code RogersBase, $6 off your order. Thank you once again to Zen Pop for sponsoring today's video, and on with the One Piece talk. All right, we are back. Hello, everybody. We are once again back. Thank you again to Zen Pop for sponsoring the video today. Now, here's what I want to start with this review. I want to pick up right where I left off at the end of the reaction, because I've been looking through these pages again. I am still very shocked that we've already reached Lucci Luffy. This is very, very quick. I have no problem with this. I like the fast-paced arcs. I'm a fan of the fast-paced arcs. And I actually had this discussion with Randy a little while ago. We did a stream last Sunday during the break week. And essentially, Randy and I agree that this story arc is probably going to be like Sabari Archipelago length, where we're going to get in, massive lore dump, lots of new characters, lots of information, boom, get the heck out of there. That's kind of how I'm feeling about this right now. Really exciting to see Lucci actually attacking in real time in a current chapter being published in 2022. I mean, that's mind-blowing in and of itself, but I honestly feel like this rematch, if it actually is Luffy and Lucci, is going to be over very quick. I don't see a situation in which Luffy, now with Gear 5 in his disposal, even with Gear 4, doesn't wash Lucci. I feel like Lucci's opponent, if he has a realistic fight in this story arc that isn't just like immediately getting wiped, has got to be somebody else on the crew. Now, with that being said, he doesn't necessarily need to have a full one-on-one fight. I think people would like to see that, and I think some people might be disappointed if we didn't get that. I personally wouldn't be. I feel like we're in the final saga now. We don't necessarily need full rematches for everybody, but I do think this is really, really cool that we are actually getting this right now. Also, seeing him just devastate Atlas already. You see one of her eyeballs just completely shattered. I am curious, like, what the power level is between the Vegapunks and then Lucci and the rest of Cipher Pol and then the Straw Hats and things like that. Again, I'm not one to actually debate power scales. I'm just curious for the purposes of the story arc what Oda is going to choose to do. Because again, I don't see a situation in which Luffy actually has a problem against Lucci currently. I don't see it happening. Especially Luffy's now seen as one of the Yonko. I imagine if like Kaido versus Lucci was a thing, or Big Mom versus Lucci, they would wipe him. And that's now how I think we kind of have to think about Luffy. That's the situation we're in right now. Really cool though, again, to see him in a modern chapter, and I love the pace at which things are going. I actually think it's really funny, the dynamic between Stussy and Kaku, where she's making all these jokes and basically not telling him where to go, or like she has all this information about the island but is choosing to withhold that information just to see Kaku suffer. I think that's kind of funny. I think it's cute. I like Stussy. I've always liked Stussy since Whole Cake, so it's cool to see more of her. Again, though, I go back to what I said during my reaction. I think it's kind of strange that Khalifa is seemingly not here, especially when she was just in Film Red, as was Bluno. Like, we know now that Khalifa and Bluno are Cipher Pol Zero. So I am curious where they are in all of this. The big thing in this chapter that gets me really excited, I guess there's two things now that I'm looking at this, and I feel like these are probably going to be the majority of the super chat questions and the member questions and things like that this week as well. The number one thing to me is I am very excited to see confirmation that the Seraphims of people with Devil Fruit powers retain the Devil Fruit power. With Vegapunk mentioning that they used S-Bear, meaning that, okay, S-Bear, the Seraphim Kuma, can use the Pawpaw Fruit. Dofi is probably going to have his Devil Fruit when we see him again, if there is a Seraphim. Shark, right, which I'm assuming is Jinbei, was using Senor Pink's Devil Fruit. Boa, the S-Snake, is probably going to have the Mero powers as well, which then leaves Mihawk, which then leads me to ask the question, what Devil Fruit is Mihawk going to use? Because correct me if I'm misremembering, but when we first saw Seraphim Mihawk, did we not see the black fire similar to King? So I'm wondering if maybe he got King's Devil Fruit and that not all of them can do that. Not all of them have the black fire. And that assumption we had about the Seraphims early on actually isn't all the Seraphims, it's just the Mihawk one. I think that would be super, super interesting. I'm not really sure. Because obviously they're still based on the Lunarian stuff. And this whole thing, honestly, this whole line, I want to read this again because it's interesting. I suspect that they used Pawpaw Fruit's powers to reach the island, so they used S-Bear. If they'd give up their chance to fight, they were clearly determined to get here one way or another. See, I want to look back real quick. I just want to type this in because I might be misremembering. Seraphim Mihawk. Okay, so no. So I was right. Wait a minute, I was right. Let me open this up. I knew there was something going on. All right. Here we go. Where's my screens? Let me open this up. Boom. This shot right here. This right here. This is Mihawk. Seraphim Mihawk with the black wings and the fire behind him. Now, I understand some of the Seraphim also share this, but I'm wondering if maybe that was meant to be a hint about King. Because we also see Hancock look like that from behind. She's shadowed out and she's got the fire. Which again is, all the Seraphims have the wings and the fire. I get that. It's a Lunarian thing. But I am wondering if maybe that was meant to be a tease by Oda to let us know that Mihawk has a Devil Fruit as well. Because again, why would they not give him a Devil Fruit power? If they gave Jinbei one, why wouldn't they give that to Mihawk too? You know what I mean? Also, think about Zoro's combatant during Wano Country. Zoro's main fight during Wano was King. Zoro's main opponent to achieve his goal of the world's greatest swordsman is Mihawk. So to give the fake Mihawk, the Seraphim Mihawk, the power of Zoro's opponent from the previous story arc just goes to show how behind the world government actually is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that would be an interesting thing. Some people are saying maybe he has Dazbone's blade fruit. You know, that could be intriguing too. I would like that. I think that could be really cool. But I am wondering again, I understand the black wings and the fire, that is a Lunarian thing that's not just for King's Fruit. But I think it would be very fascinating if Mihawk ended up having King's Devil Fruit power and then Zoro just kind of wipes him. Or, I kind of like what Vishinku brought up in my chat saying, maybe Seraphim Mihawk is the one with the diamond fruit, because we did talk about that before. We did say, way back to before we saw what Shiyu's Devil Fruit power was, and we knew that Blackbeard was stealing Devil Fruit powers, that, I won't say we. I'm not going to include all of you with the theory that I shared with other people. But I will say that I personally agreed with the theory prior to the reveal that Shiyu had Absalom's Devil Fruit, that potentially Shiyu could have Jozu's Devil Fruit power, because the whole thing about, you know, Zoro being able to cut the hardest thing, and then Diamond being the hardest thing, and Jozu, it just made a lot of sense with Jozu being an opponent. But now we are also in a situation where if somebody else is going to get a Devil Fruit power of a character we've already seen, this could also be the opportunity for Jozu, and we could see Seraphim Mihawk versus Zoro. But also, we're not going to see that during this arc, because it says right here, evacuate the researchers and workers. This is Shaka talking. Send Atlas to the lab, mobilize Seraphim, Snake, Hawk, and Shark. So they're in charge of them. This isn't the kind of thing where, like, they're going to be against Zoro. They're not going to be against us. The punk units and Sentomaru, surprisingly, also weird that they name dropped him and didn't show him, but also makes total sense that Sentomaru's here. Sentomaru and the other Seraphim and stuff, they're not going to be fighting us. Like, the way that this is being set up, and with Vegapunk saying take Bonnie to the Labo phase, and Luffy and all the rest of them finding out all this information about the world, if anything, the Seraphims are going to be fighting Cipher Pol. Just very, very interesting the way they laid out the story. I'm super excited for it. I think this has some really amazing story possibilities, and I love the pace at which these things are being shared. Now, another thing I want to talk about, if I may. This is on the topic of Vegapunk talking more about, like, the energy. I want to read exactly what he said again. He said, the world A world in which energy is abundant and available and free to everyone around the globe. And he says, the resources that we use to create energy are a constant source of war and squabbling. Just reach out and feel. Energy is right here and there and all around us. The world is brimming with it. If we can convert it into a power that you can see and use, we would eliminate one of the greatest causes of war in the world. There is no doubt in my mind. I'm not going to hear any other options about it, honestly. I mean, I'll hear people out, but in my head, it's decided. To me, the way that he worded this and the way he said this, there's no other option in my head right now for what this energy source is that he's trying to contain that's all around us. That's the voice of all things. No doubt about it. No question in my mind, full stop, it's the Force. It is. You see all these Star Wars references during this arc. We know Oda's a big Star Wars fan. We know he's been planning out this voice of all things, ancient kingdom thing for a long time. We know they had ancient technology. This ancient technology hasn't been used in a long time. Luffy's commanding things with the voice of all things. He screamed at the thing, the robot. There's too many things that I think coincide. People are saying, do you mean hockey? No, I mean the voice of all things. I mean the voice of all things when Luffy hears things and speaks to things, and Roger was doing the same thing. Somehow they were able to harness the energy that's all around them in order to activate other things, talk to the Sea Titans, all this kind of stuff. I feel like it's not even a question to me. Even the way the voice of all things has been described prior to this, I've always kind of thought of it as like a Force kind of situation. And so for him to lay it out like this, that the energy all around us is here and there, and the world's brimming with it, and we need to find a way to convert it. Like, I feel like there's going to be some type of situation in which Luffy uses the voice of all things to activate like an ancient weapon or to activate something from the ancient kingdom. And that's going to be the key to freeing the world from the world government. It's like a mix of, this is like way far into the future. This is like final war level stuff. But they're setting it up here, right? Is we know the revolutionaries are going to come into play. We know Kuma's on his way to Egghead Island right now because we saw that during the story arc. We know that Vegapunk wants to get out of here. We know that the books containing the truth of the world are in Elbaf. And we know that Luffy can hear the voice of all things. I really feel like somehow, some way, the voice of all things has something to do with this. I don't think it's hockey. I see people in my chat saying hockey, but I don't think it is. I don't think it's just something as simple as hockey, because there have been multiple characters in the story that have utilized really, really strong hockey to this point. I don't think it's just, oh, you have super strong Conqueror's hockey and somehow you can activate weapons. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. But again, to me, reading it here, it is clear as day this is a voice of all things related thing, which is so excited because this, again, goes to show and prove we are currently in, like, the end game now. With him talking about this and wanting to harness this, I'm also seeing someone in the chat. Chin is totally right, saying the voice of all things isn't hockey, chat. So Rayleigh would have heard it with Roger and Odin. Right. There's something going on there. Voice of all things related, harnessing that to be the energy, to activate the ancient weapons, to go into the final war. That's my final thought on that. Again, I'm sure there's going to be lots of other theories and things that I'm going to read in the chat. A bunch of people were sending a bunch of different donations and a bunch of different ideas. So I'm going to read those in a little bit. But just, it's very, very interesting. I'm happy that we're finally here. This is really cool. And again, Kuma's on his way. So again, confirmation he still has his powers as well. Paw-pawing himself over to Egghead. Obviously, the revolutionaries are going to want to know what's happening with Kuma too. Really just excellent chapter overall. And the last thing I want to bring up again too, which is the first thing I mentioned in my live reaction, is that you see those silhouettes of two characters behind Vegapunk. We've been seeing time and time again, there's more things in the cover stories that have become relevant to the current chapters. I am wondering if these two silhouetted characters are going to be people that end up being important moving forward into the story. or if they're going to be characters we see later on during the Egghead Island thing. Yeah. Yeah. Overall, excellent chapter. Really cool to see Lucci and Luffy again. Again, I think Lucci's getting washed. I'm surprised we're already here, though. But I am very happy about it. Yeah. So there you go. There you go. Good work, Oda. Now, before I get into Super Chats, before I get into theories, before I talk with all of you, let's see the thumbnail art for this week, because I am very curious what James did. And I think he's got some options. I feel like I'd be shocked if he didn't end up going with Lucci, but we're going to find out. Let's see. This is 1068. Let's see what he did. Still loading. Ooh. Ooh, I like the way that looks. That's kind of nice. You got Lucci in his beast form, his hybrid form. Hatere chilling on his shoulder. Look at the way he did his muscle, too. Wow. I really like the style that he chose for this one, too. It's nice. It's more of like a rough-looking, less kind of cartoony, more almost woodblock feel to it. It's really nice. I love the swirls in the background and everything. Him going in with the attack. Yeah, beautiful. Really, really good work, James. I mean, you could sell this as a piece of art or something. I would imagine this on a canvas somewhere. James is cooking, my chat just said. Wow, yeah, really beautiful stuff, James. Oh, look at all the detail, too, with all of Lucci's leopard print. I'm sure this is also probably super exciting for James, too, because obviously Lucci has not been relevant to the story in a very long time. He wouldn't have had an opportunity to draw Lucci. So now James could go all out during this current story arc. He could draw Lucci. He could draw all these other characters. Kaku potentially for a future one as well. Wow, excellent work, James. I like this style a lot. I'm a fan of this. With these kind of like I said, it's almost woodblock, the way that he did the lines. It's got almost like a Street Fighter feel to it, doesn't it? With the swirls and the brush lines. I'm digging this. Keep doing this, James, please. I really like this a lot. Zeph said there's so much detail in here for just a tiny thumbnail. Dude, like I said, James kills it, man. My thumbnail artist, he's the best. Best in the biz. I've talked about this before. If you're not already following him, at KentaroPJJ on Twitter. James does amazing work. And yeah, just visually, really, really stunning stuff. I'm excited to put the lettering on there and put everything together. I feel like I need to do a new font to coincide with this. I don't know what font I would use, but I think this looks really, 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 really nice. Again, it's got like almost a Street Fighter vibe to it, doesn't it? Thank you, by the way, to Poof. Thank you very, very much for putting the link to James's channel in the chat. Really appreciate that as well. Also, I see a lot of people saying, wait a minute, why am I not a mod anymore? What happened? Why am I not a mod? So I had so many mods. I talked about this on a chill stream the other day. I had 250 mods on my YouTube channel, and things were getting kind of out of hand, where almost every other person that was in the chat that wasn't a member or wasn't like a new subscriber was a mod. And I realized I had to do a great cleansing and get rid of all the mods. So I had to remove everybody and then put people back in one by one, people that I know, I talk to regularly in the Discord. So I think we only have like 40 or something mods now versus the 250 that we already had. So if you were previously a mod, it was nothing against you. It's all good. Don't worry about it. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just I had too many and I had to get rid of some. But I still appreciate you. I still love you guys. Don't worry about it. I had too many. I had way, way, way too many. But yeah, this is really, really stunning stuff. I can't get over. I really do love this new style. I got to tell James afterwards, like, stick with this. I don't know if it would necessarily work for every single chapter, but for something like this that's action heavy, I think it's gorgeous. But then again, I think utilizing this art style for future thumbnails and having like a nice cohesive look to it would also really make the thumbnail stand out amongst the algorithm. So honestly, James, good call. Keep doing what you're doing. Fantastic, fantastic work once again. Thank you very, very much. Wow. Beautiful. We need a thumbnail tier list. That might be kind of fun. I might do that at the end of the year, like during one of the break weeks or something. Go live and do a thumbnail tier list. I think that would actually be really fun. I like that a lot. Roger needing a thumbnail artist is ironically one of the best things that happened to RogersBase's YouTube channel. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, James does so much and adds so much to these One Piece streams. Like, it really, I love sitting down and reacting to the thumbnail art with all of you guys. It adds such a cool element to the streams. So, all right, thank you once again, James. Greatly appreciate that. I'm going to take it off the screen just temporarily, just because I want a good timestamp for myself when I'm going through the timestamps later on. But I'll put it back on the screen in a little bit. We have a lot of donations to get through, a lot of different theories. I think I went over everything that I wanted to talk about in this chapter, but I'm sure there are things that I was missing. So let me scroll all the way down. Let me see. First, I'm going to go through the super chats, and then I'm going to shout out my members. So let me see, super chats. This first one comes from Roberto Figueiredo saying, "Good morning, Roger. I hope you're having a great day today. Sorry I haven't been catching you live. I've been working on Sundays in the morning, and every time I missed your live stream, so I'm off today." Roberto, you never need to apologize. I'm happy you're here. Don't worry about it. Thank you very much. Rob Harley super chatted and said, "Khalifa was never meant for CP0. She and Bluno were only in film red because the filmmakers asked for it." Did they really? I didn't know that. Who asked for it? Shimizu or like who else? I'm very curious. I did not know that. If it was like a producer thing or if it was Toei asking for those characters, I don't know. I had no idea that was even the case though. Thank you for letting me know that, Rob. Spubby Jubby super chatted and said, "Do you think Robin is going to learn Cipher Pol 9 moves?" She mentioned when first joining the crew that she specializes in assassination and Rokushiki, so that would be kind of cool. I think it would be awesome if Robin ends up using Cipher Pol moves. Do I think she needs them? Not necessarily, right? She was going demon time during Wano Country, so I feel like Robin's got her own tricks up her sleeve. She doesn't necessarily need to use the Cipher Pol stuff, but I do think it would be a really cool full circle moment for her to utilize all these other things. For her to come face to face with Lucci and Kaku again. Obviously, she's not there right now. Luffy's the one that's on the ground, but I think it's only a matter of time before Frankie and Robin and the rest of the crew see them again. So, yeah. Miles Guy super chatted and said, "What do you think about the idea that Kuma's taking the Straw Hats to the Revolutionary Army after this arc?" That is a giant please, 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 please from me. I would love that. I think with all the different hints alluding to it, I feel like Elbaf's kind of got to be the next place to go. But I could definitely see Kuma warping them back to Revolutionary headquarters as their way of getting out of Egghead Island and then traveling from Revolutionary HQ to Elbaf. I could see that happening too. But I also think, like, with everything that's been set up and the death flags that are waving, I feel like somebody's not leaving Egghead. I think somebody's dying during this arc. With everything that they're setting up, whether that is the core Vegapunk before he can actually leave the island, whether that's Kuma warping there to save his daughter, I'm not really sure. But personally, yeah, I would love to see the Revolutionaries finally meet up with the Straw Hats and meet with Luffy and stuff. I think that would be really cool. Yeah. May super chatted and said, "There's no way that Vegapunk doesn't have a failsafe control, right?" Oh no, there's definitely something going on. I mean, I talked at length in other videos about the Order 66 thing. If you go back and watch my previous live stream reaction, I talked about my whole Order 66 theory about the pacifistas turning on the Celestial Dragons, there being a failsafe that Vegapunk and Dragon put in. Make sure to check out that video. I talked at great length about that. Hollow Avarice donated and said, "All right, well, if this island is an homage to Star Wars, who is going to get the 'I am your father' moment? Maybe Dragon shows up and tells Luffy that? That would be awesome. But how is Dragon going to get there? Kuma already warped himself. That would be awesome, though." Mike Mancool said, "Gotta say, now that we've seen CP0, I know where this is going already. Their maths are not nearly as cool as the Wano ones. Caribou is going to low diff Lucci." I knew there was going to be some wild power scaling thing with Caribou and Cipher Pol. Mike, always a pleasure seeing you in here. We actually have not seen Caribou and Zoro and Brook in a while. They're still chilling on the ship, so I am curious if they're going to show up anytime soon. Obviously, Caribou has a lot of information about the world already. I could see him selling some secrets to Cipher Pol now that they're there. We'll see. Shadow super chatted and said, "I gotta say, I know lightsabers exist in One Piece now, and we know Kuma is half robot. Bonnie versus Kuma Duel of the Fates battle?" ... I'm joking, by the way. Look, there's a lot of Star Wars references, so. Isla super chatted and said, quick news, I am actually coming to the US next year to see family and traveling. I will be around, and if I could meet, I would love that. Yo, where are you going to be traveling in the US? Yeah, Isla, I would love to meet you, homie. Thank you very much, by the way. I saw you donated earlier, dropping that, hey, what's up? How are you? Long time no see, so much work, but quick idea. Usually using the idea of AI, do you think Oda will develop an AI, an autonomous Vegapunk, that will explain disparitions or something else? Well, he kind of already has a bunch of different Vegapunk robots. Obviously, you know, he's got I jokingly call them 6 paths of Vegapunk. I'm not, completely against the idea of the core Vegapunk dying here in this arc, and then somehow, some way, through Punk records, the information that's in his head going out to the remaining Vegapunks that are here, and then maybe only one of the 6 leaving, and that he won't fully be able to complete his dream, but at the same time, one of his Vegapunks would be able to leave the island and carry that information with them, downloaded from Punk records. I'm not sure. I'm not totally sold Vegapunk doesn't leave the island. I'm not totally sold on Vegapunk dying or not. I'm not totally sold on these Punk units being wiped out like Atlas. I think Atlas might be down for the count, honestly. With the way the pace is moving in this current story arc, I wouldn't be surprised if Oda's like, boom, you get Lucci coming back, one attack, wiping out Atlas, and then one by one, Cipher Pol hunts down the other Vegapunk paths. I think that'd be kind of interesting too. I think there's a lot of different directions Oda could take this arc. Again, I'm sticking by my idea that I think it's going to be a short arc, that it's going to be a Sabari level length. But I think on everything else, we're going to have to wait and see. Yeah. It's exciting stuff though. I like seeing it. And thank you once again to Isla for your donation as well, for your double donations. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Kami super chatted and said, the voice of all things could be the final option due to also communicating with the Sea Kings, and it's basically all around them. See, there you go. Blackbeard confronted Mihawk and still got past him without taking damage before going to Hancock. Maybe the Devil Fruits, Lunarians, and Swordsmen even sliced the island. It inflicts real damage on him. Odd, right? So this is a super chat from LJ916. Super chatting saying, Blackbeard confronted Mihawk and still got past him without taking damage before going to Hancock. Devil Fruit, Lunarian, Swordsman even sliced the island, and it still doesn't inflict real damage on him. Are you implying that like their damage, the damage of the Seraphims is not real? I don't know what you're saying really with that super chat. Again, let me try to break this down one more time. Apologies for not fully understanding this. Blackbeard confronts Mihawk. You're talking about Seraphim Mihawk. And still got past him without taking damage. Correct. He got past him, and that's when we saw Hancock and Kobe and stuff. Before going to Hancock. Devil Fruit, Lunarian, Swordsman. Okay. Even sliced the island. But did not inflict real damage on Blackbeard. Isn't that odd? So you're saying it did a lot of damage to the rest of the island and was obviously a threat, but at the same time it didn't really do much to Blackbeard. That's not really odd to me, considering Blackbeard's a Yonko. Like, I wouldn't imagine one of these Seraphims would be able to do a ton of damage to Luffy either. I feel like Luffy would find a way around it. So it actually doesn't surprise me all that much that the Seraphim Mihawk could do a lot of damage, but Blackbeard's kind of getting through it no problem. I hope I broke down that question. It was kind of all over the place in the donation message, but I think I got to the core of what you were saying. Hassan super chatted and said, I just love how since the final arc after Wano, Oda has stopped focusing on unnecessary stuff and has currently been getting straight into the action. I completely agree. I feel like that was my main concern with the end of Wano Country. Not even really a concern, but it was just something that was kind of like, all right, like I want to get to it, is a lot of things were dragged out in Wano. It wasn't even necessarily the end of Wano. Like, I know a lot of people had issues with the pacing of the end of it. I didn't really that much. I think my issues with Wano's pacing were Act 2, the stuff with the prison, the part where I dropped doing my live reactions for a couple weeks, and the beginning, I think, of Act 3 post, like, the flashback was really good, obviously, but pre the Tobiropo fights. So basically all of the Ice Oni stuff, that I think didn't need to be there. Some of the stuff with the samurai, obviously Roof Piece was great. The Ice Oni thing also was not a lot of Wano Country, though. Like, I was definitely more bothered by the return to the Seducing Woods in Whole Cake than I was by the Ice Oni stuff in the beginning of Act 3. So, I don't know. I am very happy, though, to have a classic feeling, well-paced, short One Piece arc, though. Like, if you go back and you reread things like Arlong Park or some of those other early story arcs, the action is moving, right? We're getting, like, story information paired with really good fights all in the same chapter. Like, the chapter in which Arlong gets punched through Arlong Park by Luffy is a really good chapter, because you get the information on the map room, then you get Luffy doing his attack, you get some really great dialogue there as well. And again, that's kind of what these chapters have felt like. These chapters have felt like classic pre-time skip One Piece in terms of their pacing, in terms of their overall story reveals, and it's great. Yeah, it's really great. I love to see it. Hollow Everest donated again and said, okay, Roger, well then, any theories about what Stussy's past on this island was? Could she be related to Vegapunk in some way, or maybe she just used to work for him? You know what my initial first thought was? Like, the first thing that came to mind? Vegapunk was ordering hookers. That's the first thing that came to mind. I'm not trolling. I actually think Vegapunk might have been a client. You know how the whole thing with Stussy was that she ran the underground? I kind of feel like that's what it was. I kind of feel like Vegapunk was lonely on this island, and he was hiring hookers. And Stussy was the one bringing him the hookers. I mean, that's what she did. That's what Stussy's whole thing is. Isn't she like the head of the pleasure district of the underground or something? So like, the queen of the pleasure district was her name, exactly. So it makes a lot of sense to me that she would have powerful clients in the government. And he's a lonely old man. You know, it doesn't surprise me. Now, honestly, Vegapunk's smart. He could make robots, but robots don't replace the real thing. You know what I'm saying? So I think maybe Stussy sent some hookers his way, and they did business, and that was that, and that's how she knows. Maybe she was, previously like one of Vegapunk's workers or something. Maybe. But I kind of like the idea that we never get the answer, and it's just implied that Vegapunk likes his hookers. Final answer. All right, what else? We got Amirul Tempest saying, Kuma, I am your father moment is actually probably going to happen with Bonnie. That could be really funny. That could be really funny. I would like that. Not even funny. I think that would make a lot of sense, of Kuma potentially protecting Bonnie. Bonnie saying, why are you doing all of this? And him turning back to Bonnie saying, because I am your father. And then explosion. Could tug at the heartstrings. Could play on the trope. Would go along with the Star Wars stuff and the voice of all things. I'm liking it. I like it. Shushant donated again and said, I agree. VOAT, a voice of all things, has some connection with the eternal sun. It may be something like nuclear energy used for creating it, or something like solar panels, but I do think the voice of all things has a connection to the energy. There you go. Blue Speeder said bonk to Vegapunk, just hitting him on the head. That's funny. Look, he's an old man. I don't hold it against Vegapunk. If he wants to order hookers, get some hookers, man. All right? Lucifer donated and said, Roger, do you think Kuma and the Seraphim are connected? That's why he's running to save Bonnie? If that's the case, maybe all the PX are connected with him? You know, that was actually something that came up during my conversation with Parv and my conversation that came up with Randy, that potentially he is connected not only to all of the pacifistas, but to all the Seraphims as well, and he's aware of what they're doing. So yeah, I actually do think there's a way in which Kuma is connected to the Seraphim, and somehow, some way, maybe that failsafe, that Order 66 that I was discussing, maybe has something to do with what's going to happen in this upcoming arc. Yeah. Who knows? I do think they're connected in some way, though, if I had to guess. Sidro donated and said, Roger, you actually missed that Kaku asked for a cup of tea? I definitely didn't. I definitely read that out when we were reading the chapter. He asked for a cup of tea. Who's drinking tea on the ship right now? I see a foreshadow of Zoro versus Kaku coming. Hashtag baby shake Kaku. Ah, I see what you're implying. I was going to say, I didn't miss that he asked for tea. I read that out. No, I see what you're implying. You're implying that Brook likes his tea. Kaku's looking for tea, goes to the ship, and then drinks tea with Kaku, and then ends up having a fight with Zoro. I mean, interesting. I like that idea. Cool. LJ916 said, I believe the free energy is another reference to another genius character, Nikola Tesla, and his dream of free energy for everyone too. Nikola Tesla did say there would be a way to have free energy. Oh, excuse me. Nikola Tesla would say there was free energy all around us too. There you go. Okay. Man, thank you again to all the people who became members during this stream. I really appreciate it. Shout out. I want to give a quick shout out to all the members real quick. Shout out to Robert Romanowski, Wart Galore, Gunman2410, King Kaiju, Terrence Matthews, Vanny Tots Manga Reviews, Santino Bots, Kat Zara, Sleepy Times, Rob Harley, Ali D, Sword I83, Hassan M, Mam6, Shushant, and DJ, all for becoming members. Thank you very much, everybody. Nakama, greatly appreciate that. Let me actually look through some of these member comments as well. I want to see if there's something I want to address before I wrap everything up. Let's see. We have a member message from Mam6 saying, I've been a member for a long time. Love what you do. I want to know your opinion on how impactful in the One Piece world it would be for Luffy to get Vegapunk. You mean as like a member of the crew? I'm not getting into that. I've talked about this before. The 4 Straw Hat thing is completely uninteresting for me at this point. I've been burned one too many times. Obviously, it would mean a lot if he ended up getting Vegapunk on his crew to have the world's, leading scientist on his crew. I don't think it's going to happen, though. And I don't even want to theorize about it. But I do think it would be impactful for the world, obviously. Chin, by the way, just became a member as well. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate that. Let me look through some more of these member messages. Hassan saying test. Okay. Let me see. Is there something that I didn't reference? Okay, this is interesting. Santino, in his member message, said, what if the energy Vegapunk is talking about has something to do with the swirls from the fruits as well as Sanji's eyebrows? Interesting. Exactly like the Fibonacci swirl. I don't know what the Fibonacci swirl is. I'm assuming that's like some scientific theory that Einstein came up with or something. I'm not really sure. I don't know what that's referencing. Again, I'm assuming it's a science thing. I could type it in real quick. Let me see. Let me see. The golden spiral? The Fibonacci swirl? Oh, interesting. Oh, weird. Let me pull this up real quick. Wow, that's kind of cool. Again, I have no idea what it is you're referencing. I'm just seeing this for the first time. Kind of cool that it does kind of look like Sanji's eyebrows, doesn't it? I mean, that's kind of neat. Well, was somebody explaining it in the chat? Let me jump all the way to present. Hold on, let's see. It's a math thing. Oh, that's why. That's why I don't understand. I am not a math person. Here we go. Let me see. Here we go. It's a math related thing. All right. It says here, Fibonacci numbers can be illustrated as a spiral with squares representing the widths of numbers in sequence. They fit nicely together, forming a spiral. 5 plus 8, 13. 8 plus 13, 21. Oh, okay. Oh, I get it. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I never considered that maybe the swirls of the devil fruit and the swirls of Sanji's eyebrows would be connected. But I think that'd be kind of cool if that was true. And that they were just connected all along, and that the lineage factor thing that they were all experimenting with had something to do with that. I don't know. That also would be interesting, though, when you think about the Seraphim pacifistas still utilizing the devil fruit powers of their original owners. And if maybe it's tied to like a lineage thing and not so much some type of external power. It is something that can be replicated. Again, Vegapunk made an artificial devil fruit. He made the artificial Kaido one. So who's to say that he didn't figure it out and perfect it since he made Momo's? I don't know. Really cool. MAM donated and said, "Hi, Roger. It's not as a member, but the comment Jinbei makes concerning kidnapping Vegapunk as a Yonko kidnapping Vegapunk, I have to ask, how will the Marines react?" Well, I mean, not well. I don't think they're going to react great to Luffy kidnapping the scientist. I don't think there's any situation in which the Marines go, "Cool, all right, we're just going to let him do this." I think it's all, again, leading to final war, final confrontation, final arc at this point. Yeah. Roger's not a math nerd, confirmed. I am not, no. I was an English major and a theater major and a theater kid. I like literature, hence why I read manga for a living. You know, I like science is fun, but math I was terrible at. I was always terrible at math ever since I was little, horrible at it. Ever since like 7th grade, I was bad at math. And I'm good with basic math and I'm good with counting my money. And that's about it. I'm not good with any other math. But even then, I've got an accountant for that too, so I'm not really too worried. Mike Mancool said, "Yo, I was actually an English and theater major too." Yo, really? Shout out then, fellow theater major. Fantastic. Fentanius Leet, by the way, one of my members, shouted out and sent a member message saying, "The Fibonacci spiral shows up naturally in plants and other things in nature as well. So it's actually a really interesting concept and would be cool to be seen in the One Piece story arc." I think that'd be great. Yeah. V. Shinku also said, "How do you think Oda will introduce Seraphim Moria?" Is there going to be a Seraphim Moria? I don't know. I feel like it'd be really cool if there was one, especially if it also had the devil fruit power that Moria had. And somehow, some way, we got two characters out there. Wait a minute. Brain blast. Brain blast. Brain blast. Wait. I just had a brain blast. Just now. The government can utilize the Seraphims, right? The Seraphims have the devil fruit powers of their original owner. There is probably a Seraphim Moria out there that has Moria's devil fruit. Do you remember when we first saw Weevil, Edward Weevil, one of the warlords, and everyone was saying that it looked weird that he had all those stitches all over his body? And there were some theories that maybe Weevil was made from Whitebeard's corpse. What if Weevil is going to be the one warlord without a Seraphim because he wasn't actually a person to begin with? He was an experiment of the government's. And that the reason why his body was stitched together like that is somehow he was put together utilizing the shadow power of a Seraphim Moria. Just food for thought. Like potentially a zombie clone or something. That would also be really interesting too, considering the real Moria is probably with Blackbeard right now. If the Seraphim Moria is on the side of the government, or again, see, that's where things are kind of getting hazy and confusing here. In the chapter, he specifically mobilizes Snake, Hawk, and Shark. Hancock, Mihawk, Jinbei. Which leads me to believe that Vegapunk is actually the one in control of all the other Seraphims. Which also leads me to believe that maybe we see Seraphim Moria sooner rather than later on our side. Or maybe even Seraphim Dofi. A lot of questions. I don't know. Again, that's the beautiful thing about Egghead, is that the story can go in so many different directions and it's all exciting stuff. So, yeah. Overall, great chapter this week. Really enjoyed it. Thank you once again to everybody who became a member. Thank you once again to everybody who donated. Anubis super chatted too and said, Caribou was going to take Vegapunk's brain into his swamp. Just suck it on out. It'd be wild. If Law has a Seraphim, could it use the immortality surgery? Who said that, chat? Mike Jesus in the chat. If Law had a Seraphim, could it use the immortality surgery? I didn't even think about that. I just had this conversation with Randy last Sunday. Again, if you did not watch the Theory for Theory that I did with him last week, a lot of stuff came up. During that conversation, I mentioned that I don't see Law dying unless he uses immortality surgery. And I don't see that happening until the end of the series. And I brought that up because somebody donated on that stream asking, you know, what do I think happened to Law after the fight with Blackbeard? I'm like, what do you mean, what do I think happened? Like, Law's not dead, obviously. Blackbeard's not killing Law off screen. Law, one of the most popular characters of the whole series. But I do like the idea of potentially a Seraphim Law utilizing the power of the Op fruit and granting immortality surgery to somebody else. I like that a lot. Because then that allows us to see the power of the immortality surgery without Law actually having to use it himself. So we get the payoff of what that would look like, but we don't actually need the sacrifice from Law. That's really good. I think I'm going to end that right there. I think that is the perfect little theory to gestate on and think about for a little bit. Maybe there is a Seraphim Law out there that uses the immortality surgery that uses the Op fruit. I didn't even consider that. Honestly, I was thinking short term about the Warlords. There's probably a Crocodile one out there. There's probably a Moria one. There's probably a Buggy one even. But what's the Buggy one going to do? I don't know. But that Seraphim Moria and I think Seraphim Law have the biggest story potential, in my opinion, in terms of Devil Fruit powers that can be used to progress the story forward. I think Kuma's also has that ability too. We're going to see. Really good chapter this week. Thank you once again, everybody. Greatly appreciate you all coming through. I will be live on Twitch a little bit later today. Live reaction to Hunter x Hunter, maybe playing some more Pokemon as well. So greatly appreciate you all being here. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye, everybody.